Chris Miles, NBA TV host. What's up, Chris? Good morning.
Good morning to you, and it's hopefully a turnaround for the Wizards there in DC, huh?
Yeah, that'd be great. They've been very quiet.
I don't think that's coming anytime soon, there, Chris.
They've been quiet on the free agency front, but they did make a pretty big move by shipping out Jordan Poole. They bring in CJ McCollum. I mean, this is basically acquiring McCollum on an expiring deal. They're trying to keep their powder dry for summer of 2026. Did you like the deal for the Wizards and or the Pelicans? What did you think?
Well, not so much for the Pelicans, definitively for the Wizards. I mean, if you're drafting all these young guys, and I don't know if you've heard C.J. McCollum's reputation, but I mean, he's kind of like what people say about Malcolm Brogdon, that he's, preparing for life after basketball. He's made his money. He's like, all about being a leader and that sort of thing. And I think when you guys got guys like Bub Carrington and Trey Johnson, like, yeah, they're talented, but how are they learning to be pros and all of the nuance that comes with that? I really like it. I mean, every time I've heard it from a teammate from CJ McCollum, they kind of say the same thing about him, about being the consummate pro and that sort of thing. What you get on the court, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that'll be a bonus, but I think all of those nuances for where the Wizards are headed, I thought it was a plus trade for them. And we all kind of looked around like, what are the Pelicans getting out of this? Like, what are they doing? So that's how we viewed it when the trade happened. And we were kind of like waiting for another piece or a part of it to drop, and it didn't.
Hey, Chris, aside from Trey Johnson's obvious skill shooting the basketball, I want your opinion on his draft night fit, where he wore like an old school, basically like a schoolboy type of outfit on stage when he was drafted number 6 by the Wizards. What was your reaction to that when you saw it?
Well, I've had the ability to talk to Trey for the last 2 years because, I mean, as you know, I work on the EYBL circuit and also the EYBL Scholastic calling games for the league, actually, as they try to get guys ready. So he's a super nerd. Right? Like, I didn't see what he wore. I didn't even pay attention to that, but you kind of look, I did see what Fears wore, the big chain and that sort of thing, and kind of understanding his personality. But I'll tell you this much about Trey. One of his games I had, they played against VJ Edgecombe, and he had 8 points in 11 seconds. Okay.
Wow.
And I could send you the interview. I asked him about it after the game. The game ends, they bring the kid over real quick. And I'm like, hey, like in that moment, how'd you feel? And the look on his face of like, yeah, I do this all the time. What are you talking about? Like, it wasn't like he was trying to be this bravado or anything. He's like, yeah, and he kind of broke down what happened and how he had 3 opportunities that fast. And the team threw the ball away for one. His teammate Jasper Johnson, who's going to Kentucky next year, got a steal. It's just like he's used to being this microwave scorer that he's like, yeah, I got 3 opportunities, so I scored all 3. Like, what are you talking about, guy? And I think you have to be ready for that kind of score. He's one of those guys where you try to explain him as a basketball player, you're like, he can just score, right? Like, there's no, like, can he shoot? Oh, yeah, he's elite. Like, look at him at the combine. Can he dribble his left? He has some issues there, but doesn't really seem to affect his game, right? So I just think the Wizards, when you're looking at this group, what they're putting together, who's going to be the leading scorer, I think in the draft they got that answer.
All right, what's your you're thinking of LeBron and picking up the player option at $53 million? Talk to me about that. What do you think the move means? Do you think that he's trying to force his way out? Do you think he will be traded? What's your thought on LeBron?
Well, I mean, we got it directly from the source yesterday on our show, Free Agent Fever, right? Rich Paul called Chris Haynes during our show, right? So what LeBron's camp is putting out there, and I don't know how much I'm buying it, but he called Chris Haynes directly, and, he says, hey, we want to make sure we're clearing the air here. LeBron James, he's happy with the organization. He's just saying he wants to see a move that, also gets them ready for next season. Look, DeAndre Ayton is the guy that they're about to get. There's a reason no team signed him yesterday. It just took some extra time, but according to, Rich Paul and LeBron James and that group, DeAndre Ayton's on the way. I don't know how he's the savior, and LeBron James picking up his option is happy. I look at it as I still, when someone tells you like, oh, I'm coming back to school next year, and then they go to the draft, like it still kind of feels that way, but I have to take the man and his agent on his word.
Give me a little skinny on DeAndre Ayton's game. At one point, the guy was averaging 15, 16, 17 points a game. But what has he evolved into the last couple seasons? I'll be honest, I haven't paid much attention to Ayton in Portland because they've been pretty insignificant.
I'll give you this synopsis in how I feel about DeAndre Ayton. You know, as you know, and you know, we have the opportunity to watch games with Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley, right? Mm-hmm. And I know people think they don't watch games. I'm telling you, as someone that watches games with them, they watch games. And I think it was 2020 or 2021, one of those years when Phoenix was really good. And Shaq got so animated when DeAndre Ayton was getting his butt kicked, right? He starts like moving around the room like, you see that? Pushing me. You see him pushing people up. Like every game that DeAndre Ayton got his butt whipped by a different center, he kept saying, that guy's soft. And at the time, DeAndre Ayton looked good. I mean, a great start to his career to go into the finals. And I can't unsee that, right? I can't unsee this guy get pushed around from Nikola Jokic to I think Mitchell Robinson did it one game. It was like a bunch of random guys would just push him around. And so when I look at the numbers, I'm like, yeah, 15-9. Do you see how big he is? Like those numbers should be 24-12 in the way the NBA is today. So I think maybe this situation in Portland humbled him a bit. Maybe, you know, getting bought out may have humbled him somewhat. And sometimes when guys sense their basketball mortality, they step up. Maybe the Lakers are getting that guy. But as it stands right now, I don't see him with his track record being the answer, even though Luca Doncic obviously makes centers better.
We're joined by Chris Miles, NBA TV host on the Rude Guest Hotline. So you touched on Phoenix there for a second. What do they do now with Durant departing? They owe Bradley Beal $110 million over the next 2 seasons. I mean, crazy. It's 100%. If I could go to a Vegas window and bet on whether Bradley Beal picks up his $57 million player option for 26-27, I'd bet everything I own that he does that. So where does Phoenix go now? And can you believe, you know, the downturn in Bradley Beal's game since he left Washington?
Yeah, dude, because, I mean, there's a video from me from 2015 saying the Wizards should not max Bradley Beal for my days at CSN, right? Like, I've been on this train the entire time, and I would come on the shows there, 106.7 A Fan, when I hosted, like, hey, they should not give him this money. Like, what are you doing? And, you know, I mean, not for nothing, I've talked to John Wall, hosting shows with him and going through the nuance of, you know, what it was like as those guys being teammates. And here's the thing. I think Bradley Beal's a really good basketball player. But when you start putting those numbers out there, I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, for instance, is getting $37 million this year. Like, it's such a stark contrast. You just don't give a player that's, you know, a fringe all-star more than MVP level money. Having said that, I've been told by every single source that the Suns are buying this guy out. He'll never play another day in their jersey, right? So trying to trade him to Chicago, but if you look at teams like the Bulls, they're like, well, if you buy him out, then we can just get him for cheaper. Why would we pay him $100 million to be on our team? And I think that's the situation the Suns are in. They also want to move Jalen Green, right? Like the line that I heard when they made the Kevin Durant trade was, okay, Jalen Green won't be here by the NBA draft. Well, he's still there. Right. But I think Jalen Green's a different pill to swallow than Bradley Beal. Like, does he make a lot of money? Yeah, he makes the money that you would want Bradley Beal to be making. And he kind of could fit, but you can't really have Jalen Green and Bradley Beal on the same team if you're really looking to still be competitive out west. It just, those two guys don't mesh well, I don't believe.
All right, since you mentioned being competitive out west, we're talking to Chris Miles, NBA TV host. By the way, we have you on in the background on tape on NBA TV here in the studio. Western Conference, you got the champions and OKC. Houston actually was the 2 seed last year. They add Kevin Durant. They make a slew of moves. Are they a legitimate contender? And then who else do you think is looming in the West?
Well, you're asking me if the Houston Rockets are contenders.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's my thing. I don't think the NBA understands like what a Men Thompson could be. And I was talking to some of our analysts about it. I'm like, when I saw him at OTE, because that's around the corner from our studios, like this guy looks like Penny Hardaway, and he came to the NBA and completely adjusted so that he can get on the floor, if that makes sense. Like, a lot of these guys have to sacrifice their games, defending the teams, defending the NBA, And I think what you started to see against the Golden State Warriors is like, oh, he can do this. Oh, he can do that. When they had some injuries, like to Jabari Smith, they're like, oh, he can also like do this. So I think this offseason and going into next season, there's going to be a leap for Amen Thompson. You bring in Kevin Durant, who still averaged 26 points per game last year. You saw Dorian Finney-Smith. And the weird thing about it is if you look at the centers that they brought in, Clint Capella, they re-signed Steven Adams.
Yep.
You're like, are they looking to make another move? And that's the thing that's scary. They're in a situation where they can be in the sweepstakes for any other, quote, disgruntled player. They have enough assets or they could stay put. Either way, I look at them as being absolute contenders out west as a team that should be in the conference finals, depending on what happens with Minnesota and OKC.
So you don't put them above OKC, but you said they're definitely a contender in your opinion.
Well, I mean, I can't put them above the team that has the most beautiful salary cap you've ever seen in all of sports.
Right.
Has, the finals MVP, leading scorer, and MVP, right? Like, and those guys, those are super nerds. I don't know if you saw the clips of after they won the championship. We're on the court, and all of our old heads are looking at them like they don't drink. Like they came out for the interviews like it was a regular AAU tournament game or something. I mean, these guys haven't even tapped into their potential. So I think the Thunder are going to be scary. And, we haven't had a repeat champ in 7 years. It's like they clearly are a team that could do it.
Yeah. All right. Your thoughts on a pretty big deal that went down yesterday involving the Denver Nuggets and the Brooklyn Nets. Porter Jr. goes to Brooklyn with a first-round pick. That's not for like 7 years. I don't even factor that in. Basically, Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson. Your thoughts on this one? I know that Denver, they get a better defensive player, certainly. They also save some money because Porter's making more than Cam Johnson. But your thoughts on this deal?
Well, it was essentially a 2-for-1 because they also signed Bruce Brown back.
Right.
So, like, when I look at that deal at first, I'm like, okay, so they traded a sixth grader and Michael Porter Jr. and his contract. And Michael Porter Jr. is also a guy like in that situation where he makes too much money for his game, right? And if he's not going to give you defense, you're like, you're trying to win a championship. This is the piece that has to go. Like, do you want to trade him? No. But if you're really trying to do this, you have to. So it's a 2-for-1 special the way I see it. Bruce Brown obviously won a championship with them in 2023. But made too much money. He priced himself out, made $40+ million the last 2 years. Good for him. Now he's back to the team where he can blossom again, where he did blossom before. So I like it for the Nuggets in this sense. Now you look at the perimeter defense. You got Bruce Brown, you got Christian Brown, you add Cam Johnson. You're like, oh, and Aaron Gordon's a plus defender. Like, you look across the court, that's what they have. And I believe they still have a little bit of flexibility not to sign someone, but to try to take some of their like mid contracts at $8 million or $7 million. Dario Saric and Zeke Naji, I believe, are the two guys, and like maybe package another first round pick and try to get a player that they can, have on the court that maybe another team doesn't value as much. So the Nuggets, remember, they took the eventual champions to Game 7. That round 2 matchup felt more like the championship than anything else, right? So I think they're seeing it like, hey, we're still in our window. We have the best player in basketball in Nikola Jokic. I like that move for them in so many ways.
Hey, how should my guy Skinny Luca do? You're a big Luca mark.
Hey, man, look, here's my thing with Luka Doncic, right? First and foremost, I say this with any player that, like, some guys you meet him, you're like, I don't like that guy. Luka's amazing, right? I think Luka may have reached that point to where we were talking about DeAndre Ayton, where like there's been enough of like the exposure of him not playing defense, what it cost his team, some stuff from his teammates, that, man, I mean, I think if he comes in shape and stays in shape, because we've seen that before, that it's time for him to win an MVP, right? It's time for him to win a championship. But I think that story is starting to get a little old as, we see a guy like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander get the job done. But Luka loves basketball. I hope he's got his discipline together. But look, man, as a guy that played basketball and has put on weight, I don't look at Luka ever as being fat. I just look at him as a guy that doesn't look right in a uniform because of all these other guys. Right. Like, if you've ever seen, I sent you a picture before with Luka. I'm like, he doesn't look fat. He's never looked fat off the court.
Right.
But as soon as he puts that jersey on, I'm like, he does look a little frumpy today.
Yeah. All right, Chris, thanks as always
Good
for the
stuff.
time, man. We appreciate it. It's Chris Miles, NBA TV host. Thanks again.
Yes, fellas.
Thanks, Chris.
That's Chris Miles on the Rude Guest Hotline. When we come back, we'll tell you who's on Mike Florio's NFL coaching hot seat. We will do that next on The Fan.